Hey guys, Master Williams here. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Master Cycle 1. This is our Orange Stripe 2. And in this particular set of techniques, we're working on some defenses using our rising block, as well as some techniques that work in with the rising block. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at the actual rising block. So when we execute a rising block, the word actually means to receive high, right? So an attack that's coming in high, whether that's somebody striking us with a stick or a knife or a punch. And in this case, we just came off of working our back fist technique in the back fist side kick combination. So we're kind of evaluating it from that as well for our self-defense technique. So if we were sparring against somebody, we could use the rising block and then counter strike to be able to defend against that. So the rising block itself, we want to make sure that we're bringing the block across our body and then up. So if you were in a fighting stance and did this, for example, it's not going to rising block because you're going to miss whatever attack is coming above your head. So you want to make sure the block comes across your body and then up. And the way I envision this is I'm bringing my arm across my body, my hand goes up, then the elbow is going to strike out. That gives me more power with the striking motion of the elbow and the shoulder, which tend to be a little bit stronger muscles as well. So your striking technique is really good that way. So if I'm in here in my stance, I'm going to bring it across my body and block, right? So 1, 2. If I'm doing the other side, it's the same thing. So I can switch my feet, bring the hand across my body and block. Again, the hand comes across, the hand goes up, the elbow's striking out. So if I'm here, there, bringing that motion up and striking with this forearm area into whatever attack is coming at you, okay? So let's talk about it from a defensive standpoint first. If an opponent is striking in on you, what I want to do is I want to block and then punch, right? So block, punch. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. I can block, grab the arm, and punch. You will see that motion that looks like this, and a little bit more traditional, where if I was blocking, I'm going to grab an arm, punch the opponent, pulling them in, generating a little bit more power so I can block, punch, right? Again, the same thing on the other side, block, punch, So the hand coming to the body is grabbing an opponent and pulling him in. So if you can envision grabbing this and pulling that opponent in as you're punching them, pulling that arm in as you're striking into an opponent. The other aspect of doing the rising block motion is if you're blocking and striking at the same time. And this is something that you would do if you were sparring or working back and forth with another opponent. So that motion would be block, punch, same time. See, boom, boom. So here I am fighting, boom. Little step forward. I always want to move forward whenever I'm blocking with a rising block, never backwards. I'm going to move forward and into my opponent's space so that I kind of crowd them a little bit. I don't want them kicking me afterwards or doing anything like that. So I'm here, block, punch, same time, right? And again, remember, it's not this. A lot of people want to do this, make sure that arm's coming in, and I'm striking up and punching that opponent. Same thing from the other side here. Bringing that in. Same time motion, right? Boom. So if I were sparring an opponent, let's say this is my opponent, and I'm wanting to block, I would block, punch, same time, right? The rising block can also be used as a jamming technique, and this is something that I use quite often when fighting, is if you're in here fighting with somebody, they start attacking you, you move forward into the attack, now you're inside of the limbs of the opponent, and what you're going to do here is you're actually going to take the forearm and you're going to strike into the opponent, right? So this is a great way for self-defense techniques to be able to work into play. Even sparring, I can get an opponent off balance, right? Let's assume this is the person I'm fighting. They're in their fighting stance. If they start to attack, so let's pretend they're throwing a jab or some sort of technique at me, if I'm able to get inside of that attack, of that strike, right? Get inside of that arm, and then I'm able to do my rising block inside of that arm. I now have that opponent way off balance. It often results in them falling or being out of whack. Regardless if I'm inside and I get inside and then I start to strike, and do other techniques to that person, they're going to be way off balance, giving you much more success with your rising block and your counter technique. Okay, so a way to practice this, if you have a bag or a training dummy, you can do a heavy bag, is you're going to slide in and you're going to hit with the forearm actually onto a target. For me, I like the arms. That's why I have the arms here. I'm going to use my other hand to help me control the limbs. It's important that for me to control the limbs as if I was fighting a real opponent. So I'm either going to grab the arm of the opponent and then get in here and strike. Maybe I'm getting underneath this limb, or sorry, this limb if it's in a fighting stance. So this was a punch coming at me, and I want to get in up underneath that limb, so I want to practice that motion against my bag, right? So I can either grab the arm, striking into whatever I'm hitting, striking in up under the arms so that I can take the opponent off of balance to be able to work in my other techniques. Obviously, rising block into cross is great. Finish that with a hook punch to the body or to the head, and you've got some really nice stuff. Opponent's off balance, they're leaning, punch, punch. You know, you can really start to see how this technique is going to help you get in there and really be able to counterattack somebody who's coming at you, right? So using the rising block motion. So a couple of options again: rising block, punch, bringing it to chamber position like you would do in a kata, or rising block punch same time, or grabbing an opponent and physically using the rising block as my attack. And again, that arm is pulling back because I'm holding on to something as I'm hitting them or sliding in, hitting them with a forearm so that I can take them off balance and be able to continue striking and go after them. So this is our rising block use. This is requirement for Orange Stripe 2 in our Master Cycle 1.